everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dominique. If you're new here, I'm 24 years old, I live on my own, and I make videos on personal financing and my debt-free journey. So if you like that kind of thing, make sure you stick around by hitting the subscribe button down below. So this is my second time trying to record this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and that is me. That video idea is talking about the topic of privilege within the debt-free community. Right now, privilege is a buzzword, specifically white privilege. The definition of privilege is that you are someone who has a higher advantage to opportunities compared to other people, and that can be for various reasons. Like I said, white privilege is being talked about a lot right now because of the Black Lives Matter movement and people just being more aware that white people, whether you know it or not, whether you have actively used this or not, but white people have a higher advantage to many opportunities compared to Black people, Indigenous people, any other person of color. Not to say that they don't also have privileges, but white people have a drastically higher advantage to many different opportunities, many different prospects, solely based on the color of their skin. And some people know that very well. Some people try to deny that. Whatever you think of it, that's on you. But like, I know that I have plenty of privileges, and I hope that you're able to recognize your privileges as well. The topic of privilege within the debt-free community is something that I've been thinking about since before I started making my personal financing videos. And I still do, but I used to watch a lot of personal financing videos from a plethora of people, pretty diverse amount of people, to be honest, just to learn their experiences, how they go about their personal financing, because I still wasn't really sure how I wanted to do it. And I noticed that no one talked about privilege within the debt-free community. No one talked about their own privileges of being able to pay off their debt or to just be in control of their finances. And so this has been on my video list for a while, for like 4 months, to be honest, because I thought it was just something that like we should all be aware of, especially right now. So before I like really talk about this, I do just want to say first off that this is not a video calling anyone out, okay? This is just my own observations. You may have had other different observations or similar observations, but I'm not trying to call anyone out, not any one specific person, specific group, anything like that. I'm not trying to cancel anyone. If I mention someone's name, that's not me trying to be like, this is a terrible person. It's just me saying that we need to be more aware of what people that we look up to are saying. Also, I do know that like part of the privilege aspect of the debt-free community and just owning your finances is like there's a lot of the systemic racism that plays into that. And that's a topic that I'm still learning about. I knew about systemic racism and more specific in very specific areas, but for personal financing, at least, that's something that I'm still trying to learn and educate myself on. So I'm not going to talk about that in too much detail at all in this video, just because I'm still learning, so I don't want to spread any misinformation or just any wrong viewpoints on that, if that makes sense. If I can find someone that's made a video on that, then I'll make sure to link it down below. But honestly, that's not something that I feel comfortable talking about, just because I don't feel like I know enough to correctly articulate that. So just know that, like, I definitely recognize that that is a part of the privilege part of personal financing. I just can't talk about it right now because I don't know enough about that right now. I'm just talking about my own observations from watching videos, listening to podcasts, being on any kind of social media, Instagram mostly, when it comes to personal financing and the debt-free community. All right, so privilege within the debt-free community. It hasn't been talked about. It might be talked about a little bit more now because privilege is being talked about everywhere, but it really wasn't being talked about that much. I know I have plenty of privileges in my own journey. My parents were able to help a little bit with my college tuition and loans. They paid the interest that was accruing when I was still in school on my private loans, because that's not something that I was able to afford since I was paying for everything else on my own. So that's a privilege. It's a privilege that my mom put pretty much my every check or cash that I was given for gifts growing up into my savings account, versus just giving it to me and saying, here you go, spend it how you want. If she did that, I probably wouldn't have had the amount in my savings account that I do now. And I have the privilege to just have enough time to sit down and watch all these people on YouTube and on just anywhere on the internet talking about their own personal finance journey and being able to learn from them. I have a lot more privileges than that, especially when it comes to this topic. But those are just some examples, some easy examples that I can think of right now. But I've never seen anyone talk about that before. I know we all start our personal financing or debt-free journey somewhere. We all have different stories, but we don't talk about really how we got there. We talk about how the money wasn't there, like our spending habits, things like that, but we don't really talk about the privilege part of it. You know, it's a privilege that I only work one full-time job and that I'm able to pay my rent and everything that I need to pay with this one full-time job. It's a privilege that I can pick up side gigs because I can't, because I want to, not necessarily because I need to. I know a lot of other people can't say the same thing. You might be like a mom of 4 and you were working 3 part-time jobs just to feed them, and still trying to pay off debt at the same time. And that was one thing, I think I really thought about this when I was reading Dave Ramsey's book. What's it called? Like how to the debt-free money management makeover or something. I don't remember, but I was reading it and I just read so much privilege in it, and it wasn't addressed at all. He started out as a millionaire, lost that money, but he started out as a millionaire. And then he made his way back up. But when you start from somewhere so high, you already know what it feels like to be up there. You know, you're already like a success story, basically. And the expectations to get to that kind of place that he created just are not realistic, to be quite honest. I know a lot of people pay off debt using his baby steps, but it's such an aggressive way to go about it. There's not much room for grace in it. And it's very judgmental, I think is what I'm trying to say. He definitely does have good points of trying to pay off your debt. You definitely should have an emergency fund. It should be way higher than $1,000. And I'm sure a lot of people know that now after having gone through, well, we're still going through, but after having this global pandemic, I'm pretty sure everyone realizes you need way more than $1,000 in your emergency fund. But I don't know. I just feel like he just came from a place of privilege and expected everyone else to have that same privilege in their debt-free journey. He made a video recently about racism, and I watched some of it. Honestly, I couldn't stand to keep watching it because, again, like, he was just missing the mark and still not accepting how much privilege he put into his money makeover guide book, whatever. If you watch my videos, you know that I really like the budget mom, and she comes from a place of privilege too. Like, we all have some kind of privilege, but I think she's doing a much better job of becoming aware of that and being more open to having those conversations. It's obvious she is still learning, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement right now, but she's willing to learn, and I think that's a big difference between the two of them. I think Dave Ramsey is set in his ways and not willing to learn better and how to be more inclusive. That's it. Inclusive. His guide is not inclusive at all. It's just not. If you're telling people how to deal with their money, you need to be inclusive of everyone, because not everybody comes from the same place that you do. And that doesn't mean that you can't watch people on YouTube or anywhere else that that have a different, like, financial story than you do. Seeking out someone that has a similar story to you is definitely a good thing to do, especially if you're trying to really see, like, how they got from point A to point B and how you can then go from point A to point B. But it's still important to keep a diverse group of people that you're learning from, because everyone has something to teach, especially right now. Like, I learned from Dave Ramsey that people still, I don't even know what I want to say about that. I think in my head that I want to, like, try and get out is that I learned from Dave Ramsey how to be inclusive, how to be more inclusive at least. And I learned it by seeing his example of not being inclusive. And that's something that we should be talking about. Like, we should be having these conversations. I don't see these conversations anywhere. And it's just, I don't know, upsetting, I guess, but, like, we worship these people that tell us how we can manage our money, but they're not trying to be reciprocal, I guess. Like, they shouldn't be worshiping us, but we shouldn't be worshiping them either. Like I said before, these are just my own observations. If you have differing opinions, please let me know, just so I completely understand if you still follow him and stuff like that. Whatever works for you works, but we should still be aware that there are still problems going on. I really hope that was on topic. I think I really hope you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not always the most articulate, especially in these sit-down, face-to-face videos. Sometimes I script them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have bullet points of what I want to talk about. Sometimes I'm just like, oh yeah, I've got an idea. Let me just turn the camera on and see what happens. It's probably why this is the second time I'm recording this. I don't know, maybe I didn't even have that many specific things. I just wanted to encourage everyone to just be more aware. Another privilege that I just remembered that I wanted to talk about is the privilege of just consumerism. Being able to just buy whatever you want from whoever you want, and not thinking about what that company really is standing for. I know a lot of people like to buy things from Amazon just for the purely for the convenience of it, when they can easily just drive 5 minutes to a store and get the same thing. But does Amazon's values really align with what you think is okay for worker conditions, stuff like that? Think about that. There are a lot of companies that I'm not giving my money to anymore because of how they treated their employees during the shutdown, the COVID-19 shutdown, I mean. I wasn't giving my money to them before that because they don't give their employees proper health care, or they don't pay their employees enough based on the surrounding area, or they I don't like giving my money to companies that contribute to political campaigns, even if it's a political campaign that I am for. Personally, I don't like that. And especially if they have stocks and stuff, I don't like that. That's not something that I personally think. You can think whatever you want, but I don't like the idea that if I give you my money, down the line, that money is being given to a political candidate. Because I don't think that's how our political system should run, but that's just me. Or companies giving money to organizations that are not for the betterment of humanity. Things that organizations that are trying to strip basic human rights from people. That's a privilege. Being able to not care where your money's going when you buy something. If I were someone who, if company A donates or gives money to an organization that is trying to take away my rights, but that's the only company that I can get certain things from, then what am I supposed to think about that? But then company B is 20 hours away, So I'd have to buy online and then pay more for shipping and things like that, but my money's not going to something that is trying to take my rights away. All hypothetically, of course. Although that hypothetical situation is like definitely something that people are dealing with. There's just a lot of things that we should really be talking about more, and hopefully this is like a video that starts the conversation. And I would love to talk about it in the comments down below with you all, see what your thoughts are on like what you have observed in the debt-free community when it comes to privilege, and your experiences, whether like maybe you've recognized your privilege when it comes to personal financing. Maybe you're someone who is at a disadvantage because of other people's privileges when it comes to the debt-free community and personal financing, things like that. This is really just to like start the conversation, and I gave examples of my own privilege that I know about, and just like different ways that you can view it within our community here. I do apologize, but this was kind of like not the most seamless video. It's more of like a stream of consciousness that's going on right now. Hopefully it's not too long. I'm already at 25 minutes, but I think like I can't not put this video on hold any longer because we do need to be talking about this. So if you have thoughts, leave them in the comments down below, so that we can like learn and educate each other together. Maybe if we have like enough discussion going on, I can make a follow-up video on this. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to start the conversation. Hopefully we can continue the conversation. So with that, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and leave your comments down below on your thoughts, and I will see you all next time. Bye.